initially, I started out as a fan, as a wholehearted fan. And there were times where I pissed people off, just in something that I said or something I didn't know. And, it took time of learning after, making someone upset, like, oh my gosh, I just upset somebody. Like, let me find out why did I make that person upset? And I think that's the distinguishing line, it's just if you don't care that you're making someone upset and someone said something to you and you're just gonna keep going straight ahead.
I'm going to take one more. You're fine. She is my mentor and works with me on quite a bit, so I am not bent out of shape. I will take one more, and then I want to guide the ladies into a little bit of another sensitive topic. And it will not stay on this degree of heaviness. We will talk about some of the good things as well. Yes, ma'am, with the red hat. Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I will get you. I will not forget you.
So I'm glad you brought up this, Jess, because I've been wanting to ask this question. For anyone who's a BTS fan, you probably have seen American Hustle Life, where they came to LA and they got to experience some parts of my culture. And for me, because I'm like, okay, they're finally here, they're finally meeting some really important figures in rap music history. They went on Skid Row, like they're getting more into it than a lot of other people who appropriate Black culture have been into it. So I was prepared to give them like a pass. It would say, now you know something, now you can be a part of this. But a lot of my friends are just like, no, it still doesn't matter. So do you think or is it ever appropriate to give someone that pass?
Ooh, the pass.
I definitely, did you watch the American Hustle Life?
Yes.
Okay, well, I definitely have watched it too. And I felt the same way as you did at first. I was like, okay, so they're trying to, learn about hip hop and not just like go into it blindly and just think hip hop is, because if you heard their answers about what is hip hop, on, I think it was the first episode, when they asked them what hip hop was, they said, oh, like, what did they say, chains and like big cars, and I'm just like, y'all literally know nothing. Oh, poor boys, like, y'all know nothing. And so, but then you gotta look at who exactly are the ones that were mentoring them throughout the show, because a lot of times people just say, oh, they have Black friends, or they hang out with Black people, but are those Black people conscious? Like, do they know? Do they know what cultural appropriation is? Do they call it out? Like Tony, I know, what's his name, Tony Jones, I think, was, really close to Ratmon or whatever. And what's funny, he definitely recently excused something that Ratmon did that was very problematic. And what did he say? He said, who did he say it to? I forget. He said he made a joke about somebody being dark and not being able to see them because they were so dark. And so, I remember seeing Tony on Twitter just saying, you know what, y'all need to leave Ratmon alone, like, he's a cool guy. And that just makes you think, like, what do y'all teach them behind the cameras? Like, are y'all teaching them right? Because it's looking to me like you're excusing this guy. Like, how much is Big Hit paying you to just come out and say these excuses for him? But it just depends on, are they knowledgeable when it comes to cultural appropriation?
I thank you, too, for your question. So what I want to roll into is, Dear Oprah Rain, Chincha, is that Chincha, Sarang, hey yo, you Oprah, Oprah, Sarang, hey yo, fan, Matt G. Fetish? Is that how I spell it? Is it fetish? Is it fetishization? Idealization? Is that what that is? Can we help our audience kind of understand, and those are not the easiest words to say, idealization and fetishization. Yes, funky accent, I speak more than one language, forgive me. So what is this fetish thing, and what is this idealization? Lindsay, would you like to get in on that? We've kind of like dominated the ring.
Totally fine. So, sort of going back to the using words from a language as props, fetishization is the bad side of being really into a culture. A lot of times, what people use it as an example is, well, I only date Korean guys. And it's like, okay, why? What does that have? I mean, and it goes both ways. It goes the same way in Japan. And I only date Japanese women because they're submissive.
Yeah.
And all Korean men look like K-pop idols.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Do we have any Korean men? Oh, my personal favorite. I don't like Asian guys. Asian guys who are in here, please be confident enough to raise your hand for us, please, and you, just for scientific purposes. This is all for a friend. Everyone in the audience, if you look at them, what type of Asian are they? You have no idea. So that is definitely, that's in the words of Icon BI, that's no.
But he's Asian, so I like him.
But he's Asian, so I'm all about that.
And so that's exactly what fetishization is. It is taking a culture, a language, a race, and making it into a fetish, something that's not even human. It's just an object that you put your affection on because you have some sort of idealized thing about it, like Korean men. Like, oh, I like K-pop, so Korean men.
And she just used the word idealization. Can we kind of give them an understanding of what that is as well? And I got one more word I want to throw in there as soon as y'all do it.
And with idealization, it's you're looking at the best aspects in your mind, really.
Yeah,
So all Asian men are Kim Se-hoon or Lee Min-ho, and everyone else is just non-existent because they are all. And it's hilarious when you think about it, but then. I mean, from the perspective of writing, there are just some of the comments that you'll read, on certain things. It's just amazing because you wonder, is that person trolling me? Are they joking? Or are they serious? And it's when you're in a live setting like, that guy is Asian, he looks like G-Dragon even though he doesn't. Hey, G-Dragon, and you have like 200 or 100 people calling this guy that. And you can tell that he's uncomfortable. That's idealization. You're like, yes, he's an attractive man, but he has a name, and you don't even know whether he's Korean or not, right? Realistically.
I've got one more word in there, and it looks like it actually worked out very well. Lindsay took on one, she took on the last. I have one word for you. It starts with a C. Colorism.
Well, being obviously I'm black, so colorism definitely is when people, I guess, for me, is when people kind of idealize somebody because of what shade they are, in a way. I know people like to think light skin, people who are light skinned are better than people who are dark skinned, things like that. So and I feel like a lot of Korean people, especially, I know in our own community, we definitely do that, and we need to work on that. But I feel like, as somebody who was in Korea, I feel like a lot of my friends who were lighter than me were getting more attention, and people were more willing to talk to them because they were lighter than me. And I guess me being darker skinned kind of put them off and made them feel like I was a mean, dark-skinned girl who was, I mean, it just happens that way. So that's my definition of color.
Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, and that's one of the things, unfortunately, you have to think about with culture, is because it's a traditional part of Korean culture, which isn't right by any means, and it's definitely difficult as the K-pop community becomes more international, but it's, based on their cultural history. And so it's really hard for fans to reach a point of understanding that, but not excusing it.
And I mean, from my perspective, it's also, on the flip side, it's also a deep-rooted and deep-seated part of the African American and Latin American community, where if you were of lighter skin persuasion, you might have had an easier time than the people who were darker. And I think, can I just go into BTS now?
Dive in. I'll give you a minute to dive in.
Okay. And so I think that's the flip side. I think in the BTS dialogue, I received a lot of feedback from people who were Asian, and I'll say Pan-Asian, who didn't or Asian, Caucasian, non-Black, non-Latin, not of Latin American persuasion. I'll put it that way. When you put the biggest communities that I would say were offended were people from Latin America, so Hispanic or African American or Black. And I think there's that lack of sense of the fact that these were deep deep-seated problems within these communities where, you know, there's a lot of pain in that. And it's pain that we don't talk about now. And we're still dealing with racism in the United States. And, you know, look at the climate that we have in the US right now is so volatile. And in terms of BTS, they did American Hustle Life. I had some issues with American Hustle Life, honestly, particularly the episode where they were kidnapped, like where it was like they were kidnapped.
I was wondering.
And I think that was very, very sad, because that to me set the tone for just the whole show. You know, okay, we're going to kidnap you, put you in vans, and take you to the bad part of town. That's what hip hop is. You know, and then we're going to film a music video with, was it Warren G?
Yeah.
We're going to film a music video with Warren G and put, you know, some big booty black girls in it, lounging around with you. And then in turn, the comments that were received by fans, I would say Pan-Asian fans, were brutal. And it was against the girls that were in the video.
10 seconds.
Okay, wrapping up. And so I think with BTS, it is that American Hustle Life was a good thing. I do think, like, I don't blame Rap Monster necessarily, specifically, for his opinions. I think he does have a great respect for hip-hop culture. And I, like, the day before, I attended the New York concert. The day before the New York concert, I interviewed them. But when you see them up close, they're a bunch of kids. They're a bunch of very, very sweet Korean kids that are putting forth an image of gangster rap. And when you're in the concert, I think one of the biggest things to think about is one of the biggest moments when everybody's just really rocking out and there's the swag is when they're doing Cypher, Kill 'Em. And it's like, this is a song about what starts off with kill 'em, and there's gunshots. So what are you appropriating that then when you get someone goes on Twitter and there's a photo of a gun, you and your agency freaks out?
I have to cut you off. Everyone, we know it's first photo. Yes. Give it a hand, clap. But you know what we gotta do now? Bring it in. Throw it the hell out. Keep your minds open. This is a lot to digest. This is good. So, we've talked about the bad, and boy, we can ride on that until the sun sets. But let's talk about some good.